six, five, four, three, two, one.
All systems go.
You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by.
On the morning shift.
Anything
Could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh, glad to be with you and happy that you are with us this morning. Going to be a great show. It is Tuesday, December the 6th, and we're going to be talking about all the latest going on in Sudbury. And we didn't have a show yesterday, which isn't normal. We usually are on Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 8:30. But yesterday was just going to be way too hectic, hard to manage. And I just said, you know what? Got to make an executive decision here. And I made it. And so we didn't have a show yesterday. We're here today. So we have to cover the weekend plus one day, Monday, that we didn't have a show. So we're going to try and pack all that into one show today. And I think we're going to do a good job on that because we're just going to do that. Now, we're live on CKLU 96.7 FM on the radio. Thanks for joining us if you're listening to us old school. And thanks for being with us if you are streaming us on CKLU audio. Also, you can watch us live on Facebook.com/Sudbury News or YouTube.com/Sudbury News. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, follow, and to comment, because this is your show. And if you combine it with CKLU, it's your show on your station. And so on the radio, we're going to be basically doing our best to share everybody's comments as they're coming through and be able to mention them. If you're watching live stream, which you can do, and you could watch it after as well. So it's recorded. You can go back and watch it. And you could see everyone's comments that way, because a lot of times there's a lot of really great comments that are coming in on the show. It's one thing to be able to host the show or be the facilitator of the conversation, but it's only as good as the information that's coming in, and the people that are watching definitely add to the show and to what it's all about by commenting and keeping us on our toes. And it's not only me for today facilitating. I have with me my co-host today, Billy. How you doing today, Billy?
Oh, good, thanks.
Good.
I noticed a little bit of dropout. I don't know if that's my internet or yours, but
yeah,
just a note to self and you.
Well, I hope that for the viewers and the listeners that there's no dropout. I'm not experiencing anything on my side, so hopefully the internet seems to be working quite well here. But again, I'm sucking up a lot of the juice. But I'm the only one in the office, so usually there's like 7 or 8, devices plus phones. So I guess about 20 devices altogether running on it. And right now it's just mine, so it should be
okay.
Good. But anyways, how was your weekend?
I'm just going to make up the words in between, and
yeah, exactly.
Hopefully they're close.
How was your weekend, Billy?
Really good. Really good.
Good.
Busy.
Good.
Christmas party. It's the perfect December weekend.
Yeah.
Kind of busy.
I know, for a lot of people too, right?
Two Wolves games.
2 Wolves games, exactly. We're going to talk about that after the weather, how the Wolves are doing this year, along with the Sudbury Cubs as well, because they're just tearing it up. The Sudbury Cubs, they're like one of the best teams in Canada. Pretty incredible. They just keep winning. They can't stop winning. Sudbury Wolves, on the other hand, they won, and they won in a big way, and we want to talk about that as well after the weather. But first, I want to give a shout out to everyone who's chiming in here, checking in. Jesse, hello, and good morning to you. Brian, good morning. Sudbury Campers, good morning. David, thanks for being with us again, and always happy to see all of you on, including Jen. Good morning, all. Good morning to Nick. Yeah, Nick, I saw you jump on for a second, and then you jumped off. So I was like, oh, are we going to have a Nick on the show this morning? So I was prepared. So you're welcome if you
That'd
want
be
to.
awesome.
Yeah, you're welcome to jump on. I'm just going to get through the weather, and then we're just going to talk about the Sudbury Wolves' amazing record-setting game they had, and the Sudbury Cubs record-setting season they're having. Just really briefly, and then there's so much to talk about and unpack with all y'all today. We're just looking forward to that. So let's get started with the weather. We'll get that out of the way and talk about the amazing game the Sudbury Wolves had, the amazing season the Sudbury Cubs are having. We'll be back with the weather, sponsored by SudburyWeather.ca, right after this. Yes, as mentioned, Sudbury Weather, brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. It's basically Sudbury.news. It lands on the weather tab on the site, and visit it and check it out. Give us your suggestions. It's a work in progress. Sudbury.news, our website. So -2 degrees currently, feels like -5, light snow out there. There is a little bit of accumulation. So if you're driving this morning, please drive according to conditions. Humidity is 95%. Today, periods of snow ending late this morning, and then cloudy with a 40% chance of flurries. Risk of freezing drizzle late this afternoon. Again, caution in driving. As about 2 centimeters going to be predicted to accumulate. And wind will be light, coming from the northeast in the form of 20 kilometers, -1. Wind chill, -10 this morning and -5 this afternoon. Tonight, cloudy with 60% chance of flurries and risk of freezing drizzle. So again, we're in that mid-range of not really knowing what to expect, either snow or rain, right? So wind chill up to 15 kilometers this morning, and or wind chill wind is up to 15 kilometers tonight. The low is -4, wind chill near -8. Wednesday, cloudy with a 40% chance of flurries, risk of freezing drizzle in the morning, wind up to 15 kilometers, high of 0. So we're right around that 0 mark. Everything's interesting there, especially when you add precipitation. So the 7-day forecast is chance of flurries 0 for tomorrow, 40% chance of flurries. Thursday, sunny, -3. Friday, sunny, -4. And beautiful couple days there. And some clouds roll in on the weekend, but they're not forecasting any precipitation, which is good. Good for those who don't want precipitation, which I would be one of them. Those who have snowmobiles, who pay exorbitant amounts of money for them, are hoping to at least get a little bit of, back for their investment and be able to use them. So they're hoping, I'm sure, for some snow, and I'm sure they'll get it. It's just not coming yet, and I'm grateful for that. It just helps out with driving a lot. So there you go. And even mix of sun and cloud forecasted for the long range. So they're not asking for any precipitation, which is really good. This is what your satellite looks like. It's the most clearing I've ever seen since doing this show. It's about a third of northern Ontario, which doesn't have any cloud cover. Again, like if you've watched the show, you know that I'm always marveling at how much cloud there is these days compared to before. But anyways, that's your weather, brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. We'll be back with some sports, and then I think Nick has joined us, and we'll have a chat with Billy and Nick unpacking the headlines, the most recent headlines. Sudbury Weather, brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. We'll be right back. All right, and we're back with some sports. Let's see here. I'm not sure what I did. Oh, I do know what I did now. There you go. the Sudbury.com has a really great highlight of what happened on the weekend. And I know Billy was there for this incredible game. They didn't do so well on the Friday. They lost 3-2, but then they came back on Sunday with a vengeance. And this is the headline: Wolves dominate in Ice Dogs 13-2 blowout. Now, the headline has some spelling errors, which I won't point out, because if I'm starting to point out errors with other people, it's very easy to see my errors afterwards. And so the headline says Wolves dominate in Ice Dogs in 13-2 blowout. The Niagara Ice Dogs went back down south with their tail between their legs after Sudbury Wolves skated to a 13-2 victory on Sunday afternoon. The impressive final score came as a result of some particularly strong offense from the pack that saw them outshoot Niagara 47-30. They dominated on the power play. They scored 5 for 6 compared to Niagara's 1 for 3 on the power play. They dominated in faceoffs, winning 40. The Ice Dogs won 30. So the Wolves forwards Quentin Musty had a record-tying game. He got 7 points, which ties him with most points per game out of all Sudbury Wolves, one of them including Mike Fisher, who I believe married Carrie Underwood, and down in Nashville when he was down there, and dominated. They dominated the whole game. So Quentin Musty had 1 goal and 6 assists, and then Goyette had 2 goals with 3 assists. So he had a 5-point game, and Joe Ranger made 33 saves. Anyways, all in all, great game, and it was a huge blowout. Also, Sudbury Cubs just beat the Espanola Paper Kings, and they're on a record-breaking season as well. They're one of the top teams in Canada at the moment. They're just on fire. So some really great highlights of our two of our hockey teams, the Wolves and Cubs this season, and just recently on Sunday, record-setting game, record-setting season. It's not always you get to report on that, but we'll be back with Billy and Nick right after this, unpacking some of our current headlines. Okay, as promised. Good morning, Nick. You're with us.
Good morning.
Yes.
It's been a while.
Yes. Your microphone is working very well.
Oh, good.
That's good. Yes.
It's a little loud, probably.
Yeah. Well, it's keeps the eardrums working, and the headphones.
Sounds balanced here.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Yeah. I know Billy's mic sounded a bit hot this morning too. It might just be my headphones, for crying out loud. Who knows? It is what it is. Technology. Love it.
Technology.
So, how have you been, Nick?
Really good.
Good.
Really busy. I am in the festive spirit, as you can tell. Things are really, really good. And then this morning I was like, oh, I'm home and I could probably get onto the show. But then I went and you guys weren't on. So I was just curious to know what was going on. So that's why I logged in to see what you guys were doing. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it was delayed or something in live stream. I have no idea, but
it was like literally 7:31.
Oh, okay. Yes. Well,
and then I saw under that you've had internet issues and that you'll be on Tuesday. So I was just waiting for the show to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And now you're here. It's like,
and I'm here.
It's like a miracle.
It's Journey was at the game on Sunday, and we FaceTime, and she was just saying how much the game on Sunday was so fun, and she's like, the Wolves won, mama.
Yeah, they did in a big way.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty incredible game. So what did you think? What was it like being there?
I wasn't there. Her and her father were there.
Journey was there. Oh, okay. Yeah.
I was there Wednesday.
Okay. When they lost.
Yeah. But it was a really good game. They were winning and then they lost.
And they were winning first period and then they didn't win after that.
I know. I was thinking their their video guy and their mic aren't linked up. And I was like, man, does Billy need to go give his resume so that he can fix the audio?
Okay,
Oh,
Billy's
that
going to
is
answer
my
that.
job.
That is Billy's job.
Yeah. I
It's
guess
got-
I need to give my resignation.
No. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. But it's gotten so much better. Like the first time I went, it was like totally off. You could tell, but now it's gotten so much better.
But there is a reason
Yeah.
for that
It
thing
is-
that's
it is a
not
lot
syncing, right?
closer.
Yeah.
What's that? It is a lot closer, I think.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
It's
But
it's a smidge off.
Just a smidge.
I feel bad for that guy because he's always got to do these announcements and like hear himself back like
Mhm.
half a second later because there is a delay for it. That sort of time to get it closer, you know.
Right. So what makes that happen?
So when it goes through the video system, it's all digital. As it goes through the ones and zero, that takes a little bit of time called latency.
Oh.
So that's delayed, whereas the audio is electrical pretty much, or it's like pretty instant. So you have to delay. But the thing is, not everything is delayed. Some mics are, some aren't. But
What a
it's
job.
getting worked on.
Well, I can tell there was already improvements. So
Awesome.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's
But-
it's huge.
no, for sure. And all I know is that the experience with that new setup is so much better. Like
Yeah.
I'm enjoying the Wolves game so much more than I did before. So it's kind of cool. And it would be so nice to see more people in the seats.
Yeah, no, that's the huge. To me, that's the big thing. There needs to be more people there.
You know what I was thinking is like the day of, like, why isn't we should like tell Dario to make like this competition or something, and that day you could enter to win a seat, or the day before, and like fill it all up.
Yeah, and I know people want to go. I know that. It's just there's so many barriers. One of them being parking in the downtown. A lot
True.
of people are afraid of downtown as well. There's that, and there's a few. I could go on and on. Main one is parking, though.
It's true.
100%. I was also, this Sunday was the first ever sensory sensitive game. So the volume was a bit lower and the lighting was kind of turned down a bit. So, like say people who have sensory issues, a lot of times say it's too loud there, and
Oh, well, you're right. I
Mhm.
did notice that they had these strobe lights.
Yeah.
They just installed these strobe lights, but I feel like they should have. Here I am just criticizing everything, but they should have put it higher because literally it's in our face.
so it should go
And I was
down
like,
on
if
the
someone
ice.
has that, yeah, if someone has epilepsy, they do not want to be here. But it made it created more energy in the room. I can totally tell. But literally, if they just installed a little bit higher,
And
but
again,
it's still cool.
the changes are good though. It really does
Yep.
enhance. Like it's hard to take an old building and do, so I think they're doing all they can with what they got. So to me, the experience is as good as it's going to be.
I
Almost
agree.
there. It could be a little bit better, but no, it's pretty much there. It came a
Well,
long way.
can't it
Well, every
always?
every little bit of feedback helps because
Mhm.
it's always an imperfect. You can't. You're sort of two imperfect decisions where you're going to have a problem. You do this or you do that. So it's a refining process. Like all these things, go back and they percolate and changes happen. So
But
but
I think
there's definitely a big effort put into it. So
for sure, and I think if people are gonna come out and they're noticing Dario and the team improving the experience, and they're just noticing the cracks, they're like, well, maybe we do need a new arena. Like it actually helps your whole. We
Mhm.
definitely need a new arena, but the fact that they're trying to improve it, regardless if they have the new arena or not, just
totally.
Yeah,
helps.
we definitely do. Now,
Yeah.
there's a lot to unpack today, and I think the fact that I have Billy and Nick here too, we definitely it'll be a pretty robust conversation. So I'm just going to go through all the headlines now.
Cool.
I know it's going to be very tempting to dive in and try to unpack, but I want to get through all the headlines. Then I want to go back and then kind of unpack the headlines. And I'm not always I sometimes say that myself, and then I'm a victim to the thing I'm saying to try to avoid. So
I'll do my best.
Okay, thanks.
I feel like this is a message for me.
It's not easy.
I feel attacked.
No,
kidding.
I'm talking to myself. Like I said, I a lot of times say, "Oh, what the heck? We'll open this one and start talking about it."
Okay.
But I'm not going to do that today, just because I just got to get through everything. So first things first, we've been talking about the insolvency with Laurentian University so much because it's been going on. Headline from CBC: terminated Laurentian University faculty group demands their jobs and programs back. So this is what's happening now, right? Like after the insolvency is through, the faculty are asking, hey, now we need our jobs back and we need things. So this is also what they're asking for. A public inquiry can certainly shift focus and potentially look closer into the impropriety, if not the illegality of some of the things that had happened. So here they're calling for a public inquiry, which I felt from the beginning needed to happen. So hopefully we'll get back to that. Now, this is SudburyStar.com. COVID, man-made, former Wuhan-based scientist says.
They're 2 years behind.
That's what a lot of the comments are saying. COVID is a man-made virus. A scientist who worked in the Wuhan Institute at Virology in China, goes on to say. So this is just giving an idea of the stories we have to talk about. Now that's just two. Watch this. Greater Sudbury's top financial officer gets to work 2 time zones away.
Awesome.
Haley Pinkson, the new finance director, will be working from Lethbridge, Alberta.
We can't find someone from Sudbury?
That's what a lot of the comments are saying, yes. So that's that. This is huge. A lot of counselors have been waiting for this report to come out. The report as they were basically auditing our emergency services around all of the communities surrounding Sudbury. And they were saying, why couldn't it come out? It was done before the election even, I think. And they were saying, let's release this now. But it just got released. And the headline is from Northern Ontario, CTV Northern Ontario: Sudbury can't maintain all 24 fire paramedic stations. Report concludes. A review of Greater Sudbury's 24 fire and paramedic stations has concluded that, that it can't maintain them all. Many of them should be consolidated, and a move, it said, wouldn't affect services levels or lead to layoffs. I can't help but laugh when I read that, but that's what it says in the report. It's going to amalgamate the services and consolidate them, but it shouldn't lead to layoffs or anything, or services, quality of services being, less. Sudbury gas is down to $1.50. That's actually, I couldn't believe that, Sudbury gas is pretty low these days. And $1.50 is low. I can't believe that. I'm even saying that. Bill 23 represents some challenges for at least one northern city, meaning Sudbury. So the provincial government's latest piece of legislation, trying to get more homes built faster, could pose more headaches for the administrators in Greater Sudbury, critics of the bill say. I just realized I got to get our comments. We've had a bunch of comments coming here. Before we get Jerome, good morning. Brian says, good morning. Welcome back. And Nick. Jerome, you guys, too good if a job broadcasting the games on you guys do too good of a job broadcasting the game on CKLU. I promised to get to a game. Oh, look at that. Darren says, so Laurentian and the city has missing money and no one is talking about this. Look at that. So that'll be good when we come back to Laurentian's story. And good Thursday morning to everybody. Diane, yes, good morning. Glad I went to the comments there, because if I would have waited any longer, we wouldn't have been able to get to those. So this bill that they passed in the province says that it's going to cost Sudbury, some estimates are in the, for municipalities are billions of dollars, and it could cost Sudbury taxpayers $7.5 million in the coming years through permits and things like that. Through, when you got to build something, they charge you.
Permits?
Yeah, permits. Yeah, they're going to lose money.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
Because it's faster now to build. So because the province said, hey, build, don't wait, just build these things. But Sudbury's like, no, we need to take 30 years to build something. It's something we've taken a lot of pride in doing for years. We need to take as long. Like, you know, that little bridge over on Calmo Hill? That took 5 months to build a bridge over a creek, for crying out loud. 5 months. And China can build a hospital in 7 days. Anyways, it's funny. But yeah, so we're going to lose some money in permits because things are being sped up and some steps are being eliminated.
Oh, it's not going to cost us. We're just going to lose money.
Yeah, so then it will cost us to make up for the money we need to clean our roads and do the services because money was coming in through the permits to go towards the city's budget.
Well, I can see them. We can make money elsewhere. I don't like that because it's just making it look like we don't want that. So people will be like, oh no, we want the permits. We want this, we want that. But really, we don't. We don't want all these fees for these permits. We got to be able to make money elsewhere.
Figure out another way because it's detrimental. It's backwards.
It is backwards. And for builders, it's really hard. Anyways.
I know. We're the hardest city in Canada to do anything building wise in or do business
what
with.
are all? Yes. Yeah. We've talked about this. Sudbury spends way more money than all the other cities too.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. On our payroll for sure.
Yeah.
So $5 million to build the roundabout in Falconbridge. Yeah.
Like again, what the frig?
Yeah, I know. It is what it is, right? $5 million.
So that we need to look into that. Like who got all the money?
Yeah.
Who got paid what?
Oh, I know.
Did Darren Smith get paid $300,000 and he was never even at the roundabout?
There needs to be
transparency. I bet you that stuff's happening all the time.
For sure.
I get all upset here.
Another headline. Chuck LaBelle. Are you familiar with the Chuck LaBelle, Billy?
Yes, I know.
You are too. You know his brother.
Yeah.
Frank? Oh no, Jerry.
Jerry.
Cool.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
So
Frank
Chuck is his son?
Frank is his son, yeah.
Frank is his son. So Chuck is returning to the stage after a 2-year hiatus. So Francophone musician from Sudbury is hitting the road. And I do know his bass player. One of my best friend's son plays bass for him. I do know that because I asked if he can play bass for me. He goes, I'm busy with Chuck. So fortunately, I wasn't able to get him. So also, speaking of entertainment, it's the Little Skidoo is going to be performed. It's the new play produced and written by Judy Strawn, is going to be performed at the Sheridan Auditorium at Sudbury Secondary School this Friday and Saturday based on the Burt Collins Christmas song, Little Skidoo. So here's a little, I guess I'm not showing the screen, but it's really cool. They got puppets and it's for all ages and it's it's
I'm
a
going.
take. Yeah. Are you? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
You got
I booked tickets. Me. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So I'm really excited. So I'll let you guys know how it is.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'd like to go myself, but I have a Christmas party Friday and then I'm doing the Wolves game. Oh yeah, Friday as well. I could go Saturday, so I'll see if I can.
Yeah, the tickets aren't that bad. I think they're $23 for adults and around there and around $11 for kids. It's totally reasonable and something really fun for the family to get out and do something and get you into the festive spirit.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's going to be a great show. And Judy, she's not going to do anything that's, she sets the bar really high. So it's going to be a really great show. She's done so many really good, productions before. This isn't her first one. First live show, possibly. She's done radio dramas. This is the this is a follow-up headline, and then we'll get to all the other ones now. Got about 20 minutes. So 25 minutes. Canada should delay the medical assistance in death for people with mental disorders, say psychiatrists.
I'm sorry.
The Association of Chairs of Psychiatry in Canada, which includes heads of psychiatry in Canada, departments at all 17 medical schools issued a statement Thursday calling for a delay to the change set to be implemented in mid-March. We talked about this on the show. It actually took up a whole show and a half talking about this issue. Medical assistance in death. We've had 5,000 of these medical assistant deaths in 2000 and whatever, 3 years ago, 5,000, and then 2 years ago, 7,500, and then last year there
Whoa.
was 10,000 Canadians. And we talked about a company, Simon's Clothing in Canada. Their social issue that they were trying to promote was this, and so they had a really beautiful video of somebody who's deciding to end it and how it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and this calming music in the background with all these spiritual things saying, yes, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to society, and then it had her talking. And then I saw another story. Oh, and then it had the CEO talking about how this is his way to contribute to society and give back and make community and all this stuff. And then I saw a story today how that girl featured in that video, her friend said she actually didn't want to go through with it.
Her best friend didn't want to go through with it?
Her best friend said that she actually didn't really want to do it.
Wow.
She had a lot of doubts with it.
And like, was this person sick?
I can't remember what the reason was, but this is the reason why psychiatrists are so I'll begin with this anyways. We'll begin with this. We'll unpack this a bit and then go back. The reason why psychiatrists are chiming in is because they already have this procedure to help you along, to make it possible. If this is one of the things you could do if you're suffering from illness, right? That's the reason why it came in. If you're suffering too much, one of the options you could do is actually have a doctor help you to go to the other side, to assist you to make your death quicker. But now this new law that's coming out in March makes it so that way it opens it up for more people. Exactly. So
18 and over.
Yeah, I shared a piece. I think it's even less than that. You can.
Oh.
Yeah, I think, because I remember Tucker Carlson did a piece on it. I played it on the show and he said children now can go to their psychiatrist and they don't even tell their parents that, that this is something they're choosing to do. And, you're depressed. And the doctor will say to you, well, did you know there is this procedure out there that you could do, and that's an option now, whereas it wasn't before.
What is wrong with this world?
For the mentally
Did you say
ill.
there's 17?
Is it 17?
17 schools all did a letter? Or
17?
All 17?
All 17. Well, it said the heads of all psychiatry at all 17 medical schools. Yes, you're right. All 17 medical schools said you need to delay this. They didn't say stop it.
Yeah.
They said delay it.
No, that's a lot of pushback though.
Yeah. But the government, I read, said, no, they're not going to. They're not going to stop it. They're going to continue with the change in March, making it a lot easier for a lot more people to take this option and help them off to the other side. So I wanted to do the math with this. If it went from 5,000 to 7,000 to 10,000, and now if you open it up to this, in 20 years, how many people would we lose through this alone, right? So I just wanted to quantify
it. And what's the math?
I wanted to do. I didn't get a chance, right?
Oh, okay.
All volunteer. I work full-time job.
No.
I thought this would be a really.
You can probably figure that out, but it's a lot.
Many variations between here and there too. So
yeah, like this law,
if it stays on
changing.
that trajectory, yeah,
exactly,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
It's going to
So
open
I
the
heard
door.
about a story about a man who is that can't use his legs and he's in a wheelchair and he's getting kicked out of social assistance, like his building. He's getting kicked out of his building, so he's going to be homeless. And he doesn't know, he can't afford, he doesn't have a job. And for some reason, he's not going to be able to be on the system anymore because he's not going to have a home address. And the government and his doctors are telling them, well, you have this option. And this man had an interview and he was saying how he doesn't want to die, but he'd rather die than live on the streets.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, how sad.
That is sad. And how many people would be in that same predicament? So again, right? But what, instead of, helping them, we're giving them this option, which looks a little bit like something we saw back in the 30s and 40s.
Why? What happened in the 30s, 40s?
Program called eugenics. It didn't just start then, but we saw it when it was put into place in Germany. When you get rid of all of the people in society
that you don't want,
the undesirables,
right,
kind of thing, right? So who are the undesirables to, let's say, people in a more
We're on the
elite,
system.
aristocratic kind of circles? Well, you look at
Right.
you look at people that are homeless. You look at the mentally ill, the mentally or the physically disabled, the people who draw on society, or whatever. And so you get rid of them. So that's one way to purge, and it's a philosophy, it's an ideology, to just get rid of it. So that way only the strong are left, and the strong are the ones that build a stronger society.
Even sadder is that a lot of
Mhm.
people in our society will probably agree with this. They'll just
Well,
be like,
yeah,
"Oh, well, if we get rid of all the old
yeah,
people and the homeless people,
yeah.
and then the government will be like, "Guys, we saved $200 million." People like,
Yeah.
"Yeah." Like,
Well, that's the thing. There's a
There's a
societal.
lot written about the hallmarks of a society is like how they treat their weakest and vulnerable. So you can kind of measure, the high points of society and the low points of society kind of by that. So it's kind of a scary trend to think that is the direction that we're moving. You think an advanced civilization would have a much better system of care,
Yeah.
instead of that kind of mentality, right?
Yeah. And it's being propagandized right now. And that was that Simon's piece, this. So if you get corporations to do it, it's not like the government's doing it. So other people are doing it. But the problem is when you get corporations and governments working together, it's kind of like, that's the model for fascism, really. That's what it is, as a political model. And that's what's been going on. And so they took down those videos that I shared on the show. They're not there anymore. I went today to see, and the piece said, no, there's such a pushback from people now that
good.
they're not ready for it. And I think that's why the psychiatrists are saying, let's delay this. They're not saying let's
So-
stop it because society's not ready for this yet. They're saying
No,
we need to get them ready. We need to kind of have more,
more propaganda.
what do they call them? Service messages, public service
Yeah.
messages
About
and
how I'm
things.
so happy.
Educate
that I
us.
can- Yes,
They need to
educate me on-
educate us on
Yes,
why
on
it's
how
important.
it's so good for me
Yeah.
to kill myself.
Yeah, that's what they
Okay.
need to do.
My therapist actually is leaving her practice because in Vancouver, they are changing all the laws. And if you are not, she owns her own, so in Vancouver, if you have your own practice in your own home and you are not fully vaccinated, you are losing your license.
Hmm.
So she's just seeing this,
Yeah,
and she's
coming.
just seeing this whole agenda about this, all the other things that are happening. She's like, I don't agree with this. So she's leaving her practice
Mhm.
because of that. And even about this, she got a letter from the government about it. And she was just saying how it's really unethical.
Well, we were also wondering how much doctors get paid because they get paid for their services, right? So it's like if
Yeah.
you refer to something, like if the doctor refers to an MRI or refers or gives you a drug of some kind, they get some kind of reward monetarily back, or provide any service. When you go in with your health card, I'm sure they tick off, okay, did a consultation, they get paid so much for a consultation, get paid so much for this, so much for that. And we even heard that doctors are being paid as much as $30,000 to mark a COVID death. Remember,
yes.
back in the day,
Yes.
if on the death certificate they put, it's COVID death with a check
Yep.
mark, they got a $30,000 monetary, they charged the government and they got it. So
Yep.
who wouldn't check
In the
that
States,
box?
I'm not too sure what
In the
the
States,
number was in Canada.
You're right. In the States, yeah. Well, that would be almost $100,000 in Canada if you did. No, we have a different system here. That's right. So, but there would have been something in Canada similar.
Oh yeah, it still works.
you know.
They still
Yeah.
do a billing kind
Yeah.
of system. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's so how much are they getting paid to offer this service?
Follow the money.
For people. And anyways, it's a broken system. We know that. And again, is it like that because we're incompetent, or is it like that by design? Now that's what we have to ask ourselves. Either we're just really incompetent and we just really don't understand how to help each other in the right ways, or there's some evil, like really bad kind of purpose behind this. And if it is that, I think it's now or never to start calling these things out. But anyways.
It's
Yeah.
just,
I think it's
yep. Go on.
sort of like a gray area. There's probably some elements of that, and there's also unintended consequences.
Mhm.
I often used to use the analogy, what if we had free healthcare for our cars, where it's like we could just bring our cars to the garage, and they just do their thing, build a government, and we get them back. Like, what would the state of our cars be like in 5 years?
Yeah.
Because they have an incentive to
Keep making problems because they
bringing you
keep getting.
back. It's
Yeah, that's
not
right.
like we're gonna have a great car that runs,
Yeah.
5 years without any need for repair.
That's right. When I heard the Trudeau and Doug Ford had a press conference, I think it was yesterday, and they were announcing billions of dollars to the healthcare system. And I was like, no, keep your money, man. Keep your money. The more money you keep putting into it, it keeps getting worse. You know what I mean? That just gets worse and worse and worse. Your money is not helping anything. It didn't help it before. It's not going to help it now. That's not, but people hear that and they think, oh, good. That's going to help. They're giving billions to the healthcare system. So it's going to get
interesting too, because they legalized marijuana, and we were hearing about all this money that this was going to generate.
Oh,
and it's
for
funny
sure.
how before,
Taxes will go down.
Yes, politically, it's going to help our community. It's going to help our, but it's like, where's that money, and how come our taxes are still going up? Inflation's still going up, and where's this money? You guys are probably making billions of dollars on this, and we're not seeing the money. So they always do that. They bring in this new legislation. They say all the good things, but then we don't hear anything about it later. And actually, things are getting worse right now.
Yeah, 100%. Now, I want to check out on some of the comments, just because some of the ones that are relative to our conversation now, and then we'll work our way back. Your comments are being corrupted. Can't read them. Possibly. I don't know. That's interesting. I don't know if that's true or not here. Yeah, I'm reading them too. I just haven't been sharing them because we were going through all the headlines, and then there's some comments based on some of the headlines, and then some on our conversation.
I can read this one from Karen.
Yep.
The medical system needs an overhaul nationally. My dad needs surgery to laser stone his bladder. He's 84 and had to wait 9 months. Easier to bring a dog to the vet.
Yeah, you know what? That's true. That's what I mean. It's broke. It's broken. It's really broke. It needs an overhaul for sure. There's no doubt about it. Our government is also advising Canadian veterans to enlist in the MAID program.
Yes.
Because because they struggle financially. Oh, the government. Or maybe veterans too, if they're struggling financially. Yeah, you're in debt. You can't handle your debt. Well, if you're on the other side, you don't have to pay it back.
Yep.
Ouch. So back to the, so I guess we'll leave that conversation there, because that, again, could take up, we have 10 minutes left. So the telethon saw Steph Paquette performing Little Skidoo, like they will be in the play as well. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. Love Chuck LaBelle's and band. Yeah, he's got a great band too. And the gas prices, I like Brian's analogy here, the drop in gas prices, because of our economy. It's like a bald man winning a hairbrush. The fact that we have low gas prices, because our money doesn't go as far anymore. So really, low gas prices doesn't do anything anyways. So it's like a bald man winning a hairbrush, doesn't do anything. I like that. Okay. And then Darren was also back talking about, the government, when they give out contracts and things, like who's getting contracts is another way for corruption. We were talking about when it costs so much to build things. So there you go. So we're going to be talking more about this medical assistance in death going forward, because we got until March until the new law kicks in. So public inquiry into the Laurentian University debacle. Let's just get our little panel we have here today and a vote. What do you think? Should we have a public inquiry or not? Billy?
Yeah, I'll go with a yay on that.
And for the reasons being?
Well, it's such a big event. Seems like we got to figure out what happened there.
Okay. And Nick?
It's probably more complicated than that, but we'll
it is.
We'll see what the retorts to that.
Public inquiry meaning,
like they did for the reason for the the Emergencies Act kind of thing. They have to actually have a third party. In this case, this was a government run one in Ottawa, but
yes,
a third party comes out and actually lawyers question people, they look
Yes.
into it, they
Okay.
make it public, that kind of thing of what happened.
I am always up for a public inquiry. Then I'm always up for a third party. If you have something to hide, if you
Mhm.
have nothing to hide, it shouldn't be a problem. And it's our money. So, and looks like there's a lot of corruption happening all the time. So yeah, I'm yay for public inquiry.
And so is Brian. He just chimed in. He's also for that. I'm also for a public inquiry as well. Again, a lot of people could, on the other side, if they were saying they were against it, if it costs money, they could say now it's going to cost people or taxpayers
I know, but
even more
it's going
money.
to cost us
but
money, but it will save us money
I
long
think
term.
so. You're right. So it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
COVID man-made. Billy, yes or no?
I'm going to say good chance.
Okay. Well, that's one thing I wanted to load up for the show today was what's his nose on Stephen Colbert when he talked about that. He used to do the Daily Show. Jon Stewart. Remember Jon Stewart's little rant about this?
He had a pretty some funny jokes about that.
I know. Anyways, so you and Nick,
I will
yes.
say, like, the thing that I enjoy about like all these things coming out, which is, you know, it sort of really bothered me, the amount of censorship in the past couple of years, and all these things would have gotten people fired, deplatformed, demonetized, you
Yep.
know, and now it's okay to say,
Yes.
but
I know.
it really needs to be reflected in society. That's like,
And
you know, these, you know, you can't have a society where you just take these people completely out of the game
mhm.
for submitting their opinion, you know, even if it's an unpopular one at the time.
Yep. They tried to deplatform a Nobel Prize scientist in France. He won a Nobel Prize in AIDS, and he was talking about how this was completely manipulated because a virus almost is kind of like a computer. You kind of see the 0011, so you could kind of tell. And he said, "Be careful, this is completely man-made." And then he was deplatformed. So when I heard his statement, I was like, "Okay, this is." And of course, so it's funny how that article can just go up and it's fine, but no one's held accountable and be like, "Oh wow, like." You know, I almost lost my job because of this. I lost family members.
Yep. And then CTV. So this is a story from Sudbury Star. And then CTV this morning also put a story up about the COVID. There was a report that says the COVID virus comes from bats. So that also went up. That the COVID virus actually came from bats. And there was a study on that. So that was on CTV, whereas Sudbury Star is reporting on this former scientist who worked at the Wuhan Institute, a guy who actually worked in the lab. But then this other report of people that didn't work in the lab goes against that and says it came from bats. So you can see how the media here, right? This came out today or yesterday. And then right away, there was another piece that came out at the same time with a different study that said it came from bats, which is the thing people have been talking about since this thing started anyways.
My mind's just going like, why? Why are you even talking about this? What is the goal here with these articles?
Yeah, well, it's just to, I guess, and you remember when people were being deplatformed, it was because the reason was being misinformation, right? They were saying it can only come from one authorized source, so you can't have people spreading, it's almost like a virus itself. They were saying misinformation, right? And so on that premise, they were being deplatformed, but now they're being vindicated. It's coming back saying, here's the scientist who actually worked in the lab. Who are you going to believe? A scientist who actually worked in the lab, or someone who's making a report, for some study from a university that's funded from Pfizer? You know what I mean? Because that's who funds these universities. Studies are the actual people that benefit from the, what comes from it financially. So Karen chimes in. Prices have gone up, supposedly due in part because of gas prices. Oh, so that's on the gas price thing. Yes, for sure. Check out her comment there. She has a rundown of exactly why our gas prices are so low, which is interesting to look into because I don't have all the answers to that. Just some comments on our thing, and I'll get to you, Billy, here. This is on, is it from Wuhan or not? So Erica says, kind of old news, isn't it? I'm pretty sure people that were called all sorts of things have been saying this for a while now. So that's her. Mikey says it originally comes from a Winnipeg lab from the help of an American doctor. And then someone put a laughing emoji to that. But I have heard that as well, that theory, and there are some pretty interesting things that go along with that. I think there is some merit to look into that as well.
You dropped out there. What was it came from a blank?
A Winnipeg lab.
Winnipeg lab. Okay.
Yeah, from the help of an American doctor. So
I
Alain
remember that
says,
sort of famous arrest of 2 people
"Oh, you're right.
being led out of there with connections to the.
You're right." And then no
Yeah.
one heard anything after that kind of thing. You're right.
Mhm.
Alain says people still won't believe it. So, and that's true. You're going to believe it's, you already kind of made up your mind on that. You looked into it for whatever extent you're going to look into it. But my vote is that it was, just from what I've looked into, that it was man-made. So,
Yeah, actually, I might disagree with that, and kind of like Nick was alluding to that. There's, people are shifting their perspective. They see what has happened, what's coming out right now. I don't know. I talk to a lot of people who are definitely having their positions challenged, and they're kind of changing. So I think there's a shift going on.
yeah, and that's because you're a lot more hopeful than I am, and I appreciate you for that,
Yeah.
Billy. As you do know, I tell you time and time
And I
again.
got my rose-colored glasses
Yeah,
all
that's
around.
right.
So
And it's
I'm looking
it's
for
always a
tomorrow.
welcome point of view, because
Yeah.
it's just like a relief. It's like when you have a headache and you take an ibuprofen or something. That's Billy. It's just like, I love to think it, like that. Yeah, for sure. So I hope that people are going to be able to see things, but it's hard in today's day and age for what's going on. This is interesting, right? Sudbury's top financial officer gets to work 2 time zones away. What's up with that? Like, that's a work from home position, but she doesn't actually have to be from Sudbury. Billy, you agree with that?
I could go either way. I could
Okay.
see that being something that's not necessarily important to be localized, but at the same time, I also imagine having a conversation with somebody, laying down all these reasons why it's really good to have somebody that you can actually like walk into the office
Yeah.
and like put out the spreadsheet and like point and like that kind of contact.
Nick, what do you think?
Well, I think it's ridiculous. You're telling me that there's nobody in Ontario that is good for the job. You can keep someone in our own time zone or even in our own home, like in our town. Does this person even is aware of what's going on in Sudbury? Is she even connected? Is she even? So it's just that I think it's completely ridiculous.
Yeah, I think so too. That's my thoughts on it. Why? If you're the chief financial, Sudbury's top financial officer. Yeah. So
Like,
if you're
who's your
not even
dad?
living,
Who's your
yeah,
dad? Who's your husband? I'd like to know. It's probably
yeah,
someone that's highly connected.
or what? Yeah, it's just interesting. Just it's a bit of a disconnect. Someone who's in charge of all the finances of the city isn't even. It's like 3 provinces away, kind of thing. It's like weird.
And then are you always available? Like sometimes there's last minute meetings. Oh, but
Yep.
you're not available because you're still sleeping. Or, or you're driving your kid to work because for you it's 7 a.m. and your shift starts at 9. But
Yeah.
over here it's just that's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. I know it's possible. I think it's possible. Just my gut feeling, just myself. I just don't think it's cool. This
Yeah.
report. Do you go ahead, Billy?
Well, I was just gonna say like the balance to that side is if you did have like you were able to ascertain somebody who was incredibly talented and skilled who couldn't be here, if it was that kind of scenario, and I'm not too sure what the situation is,
Yeah, it's
but
true. We didn't
it'd be like
unpack the story
if
yet.
I had an accountant that didn't live here, but like they were way
Yeah.
above the.
Like they were really good. Like you got the best accountant in Canada, just didn't live in Sudbury. Would that be worth
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, I bailed on that analogy because it didn't seem like it was that great.
I tried to save it at the
Yeah,
last.
I appreciate that.
No problem. This
When I bail,
report.
I just stop talking and it's like, forget it.
This report that we're going to get the same services if they amalgamate all of the fire and emergency services. What do you guys think on that, Nick?
Sorry, I was reading a comment. Sammy says, for a position of this power, no, they shouldn't be allowed. There are tons of positions where the employees work from another area, another time zone. However, I completely disagree with this specific reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's true
Yeah.
with someone with this much power.
Yeah, exactly. Doesn't even live in the city.
Sorry, what was the next
Oh,
article?
You know, they had that report come out that they believe they should consolidate some of our fire and paramedic and
How
emergency services.
convenient.
Do you think that we're not gonna? Do you think we're gonna get the same type of service and there's gonna be no layoffs like they promised out of this report?
Like, hello? Oh my gosh. You know, like how convenient. It just doesn't make any sense. We amalgamated to save a bunch of money. That didn't work. We're not saving any more money. Now we're going to amalgamate, but like you'll have the same amount of service. Like for people to actually believe this junk to me is ridiculous. We're obviously not, because someone in Capriol is not going to have the same amount of service as someone that's downtown Sudbury. So this is a huge problem.
Cool. So I guess you vote no on that one. And Billy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have to agree. It seems like now these are just like emergency services.
Yeah, fire,
So if there's
paramedic.
Emergency.
So if there's like a fire station in Hanmer versus Sudbury, is that, I don't know what the specifics are, but
Like
it
they're going to
seems like
amalgamate it, make them more
somebody
centralized. Yeah.
would get quicker service if their fire truck, they had
Yeah.
a fire in Hanmer and the fire truck was in Hanmer.
It's math, right? It's like if you put the fire station further away and you say you're going to get it at the same time, it doesn't make any sense mathematically, right?
No.
So anyways, it is. So my vote's the same. And Sammy also says the term consolidate says it all.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it at that. I'm just going to get Karen's, because gas prices, that's the next story, and we're out of time. But Karen did mention a bit of a reason for the gas prices being low, because gas prices are so high. Her son in Alberta pays $16, and there was also $6.67 fuel charge. So her thought was, what was the $16 for? Hopefully gas prices are dropping. The fact that they're dropping might have things drop in price. So, because everything's related, if it costs less money to get something transported, maybe it will equate to lower prices. And then Karen, you get the last word again. I like my fire station to be in my area. If my house was on fire, keep them separate. Perfect. Okay. Thanks guys for being with us today and commenting. Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Billy. Appreciate you jumping on, and hopefully we'll be able to do this again sooner than later.
See you later.
Bye, guys.
Okay. Have a good one, everyone. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow with Pierre Benum. We'll be back then. Have a safe and happy, what is it today? Tuesday. Yes. See ya. Ciao.